Hello everyone, my name is Lonely and I survived a lot of days in Minecraft Hardcore. But this Minecraft has crazy OP trees that contain one incredible dark and twisted secret in their inside. Will we find out what that secret is? Will we beat the Ender Dragon? Will we craft all of the trees? Will we finally reach 1 million subscribers? Please, we're so close. Watch on to find out, and let's venture in this new adventurer's adventure and discover a Minecraft you have never seen before. A little disclaimer before we start, my recording software thought it was a great idea to encode all of my videos with the worst possible resolution for the first few days. So bear with me, the quality is terrible, but it will get better. Alright, let's go. I started this Minecraft world like every other world in Minecraft's existence, by clicking the Create New World button on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, just after giving it the most original name ever invented. How original. And just like this, I was inside. I said I was inside. For a brand new Minecraft world, I wonder what adventures lie ahead. I started by getting acquainted with my surroundings and seeing what we had to work with. I gathered wood to make my basic tools, but I never start with wooden tools, that's why I soon went to look for stone and made stone tools instead. That's right, wood tools suck. And of course I patched up the hole because terraforming. I went on to look for a better biome to start a base, but I was quickly distracted by this doggo, who was looking at me weird. So I looked back at him weird, and we looked weird looking at each other weird for quite some time, until it was time to get back to the task at hand, finding a suitable place to build a base. I would love to say that this took a few minutes, but sincerely, this first day was probably the hardest day of this whole playthrough, because I had no idea what I was looking for, no idea where I was going, and of course, I had no bed, no food, and no resources. My friends, needless to say, this adventure had indeed begun. I chopped down some more wood to have all of the oak I needed to craft the first OP tree, and with my handy boat, I sailed off into the distance. I quickly found an ice spikes biome and a spruce biome, and I love spruce. Who doesn't love spruce, seriously? So I got myself a few saplings to eventually bring them to our unestablished base, which turned out to be very useful later on. When I had what I needed, I went back on the boat and towards Antarctica. I was curious to see if polar bears were aggressive, so I walked towards them, but then I thought one started walking towards me, so I got very scared and ran away. And that's when I realized that I will never know if polar bears are aggressive, and this question haunts me to this day. What followed was a very long day of sailing until I finally wound up on a desert, the best site for a man lost at sea. And as the sun was quickly fading, I realized that my best bet was to find a desert village. I had a lot of luck in many of my Minecraft worlds when it came to desert villages, so I thought I'd give it a go. My friends, I searched for so long and I didn't find one single thing except a cactus, which I hoped I could eat, and some sugarcane, which I hope I could maybe turn into sugar and eat as well, because I was starving. Unfortunately, I could do neither. It was at this point that I thought to call it quit and start a new Minecraft world. Maybe I would get luckier next time. Maybe I would have a better spawn, maybe I would have more money or be more popular, but as all of these thoughts were running through my head, my friends, I saw it. Right in front of me, an acacia village. I was so happy that I went to sleep right away. That's how happy I was. We had a ton of work to do the next day, so there was no time to waste. And I didn't find any bed. Like, no bed at all, for so many minutes. As I was stressing out thinking that a creeper would blow me out of existence, I explored literally the last house of this tiny little village, and I found a beautiful orange bed, full of villagers around it. But as every Minecraft player knows, there is no place for villagers on beds, so I stole it from them and got my beauty sleep. The morning came fast, and I was still starving, so I stole a few hay bales from the farmers and made myself some thick bread loaf. I caught this baby villager jumping on my bed, and although I contemplated spanking him with my stone sword, I decided to put myself in his shoes and I jumped on my bed as well. It was surprisingly fun, so I forgave him. It was now time to get to work crafting our first tree, the OP coal tree. We needed a crafting bench, check. 8 oak logs, check. And finally, of course, coal. Oh, no coal. No coal here. Not there either. Nope. Anything here? No. Oh, there it is. One single piece of coal is all we need to turn this Minecraft into, well, OP Minecraft. Yeah. I made myself a second crafting table because I didn't know if crafting the OP tree would break the crafting table I already had. And I went to look for a nice place to spawn in our first tree. Once I found the perfect spot, I put all of the items in their correct place and... Wait, a block of coal? No, this is not what I wanted. What is this? So I took it to throw it in the lava, but instead, this happened. Visible happiness here as I jump up and down in front of our first incredible, astonishing OP coal tree and its small coal pond for whatever reason. If you ask me, my friends, I'd say that was quite uncalled for. There was a chest in front of it, so before doing anything I had to see what was inside. I opened it and was greeted with an iron pickaxe and an iron axe. Just what I needed to mine that coal tree. What a coincidence. I took the tools and I thanked the chest with my wooden pickaxe and some seeds, fair trade, and I went to grab me some sweet, sweet coal. I started building a staircase to get to the top of the tree and mine it all the way down, when instead I found a secret chest hidden inside the tree. Remember that surprise I mentioned earlier? Well, this is the first of many. I don't think you're ready for it, my friends. I know I wasn't. I would highly encourage you to pause the video right now for a few seconds just before I open this chest, or at least to be sitting down somewhere because it's about to get really, really OP. I mined the block on top and a few blocks around it just in case it was a hoax, but then I was ready to open the chest. So I opened it and I closed it. And I opened it and I closed it. This happened around a couple hundred times, because I could not believe that this chest was even allowed to be in Minecraft. I looked around, afraid that Mojang would jump out of nowhere and end my Minecraft subscription forever. But they were nowhere to be found. It must have been a gift from the gods, a fruit from heaven, an angel disguised as a tiny wooden chest. But it was just about to get better. As soon as I hovered my mouse on the items, the unbelievable became believable. The impossible became possible, the unexplainable became explainable. The unable became able. For in that chest lay the most OP items I have ever seen in a Minecraft world. After a couple of years contemplating whether I should or should not take these OP items, I took them. I was convinced yet again that this challenge was over. I mean, I had all of the endgame items and much, but I mean much, much more. But I was not going to let that stop me. Instead, I was going to let that fuel me. Make me do things that I have never done before in a hardcore world. Because, like Villager Ben once said, with OP items come OP responsibilities. And I was ready to live up to these responsibilities. I had a plan. Great plans, huge plans. So I got started. The first thing I wanted to do was make this OP coal tree justice by upgrading the design to something I thought looked much better, complete with a sturdy acacia trunk. Ironically, I needed more coal. And I set myself a small rule which stated that I could only summon new trees once in the whole game. So I went out looking for coal, and let me tell you, my Fortune 6 quintillion netherite pickaxe came in quite handy. I crafted a whole bunch of coal blocks and made the pond look a little more like it belonged in its surroundings. I also ate my first enchanted golden apple on my second day. Look how cute I look in front of this coal tree. I smelted up some iron because I knew I would need it eventually, and I went gathering more resources for a little build I had in mind. After collecting all of the blocks I needed, I placed on a rough layout for the coal house and I started building. Cue the montage. Once the house was practically done, with its own terraforming, beautiful exterior and decorated interior, I thought it would be really cool to have a little coal cave that would then become some sort of super smelter, adding the last small details to make it look nicer, and it's done. such a shame for the quality of the recording, but soon the whole quality will improve dramatically. Anyways, with that done, I called it a day. No, okay, I'm just kidding. It was time to work on the second project. Because you see, my friends, there were a ton of trees that I could craft in this mod pack, and I intend to make a small build for each and every one of them, starting from the simpler items like coal and copper, and moving on to the crazier items like diamond and netherite. The second build that I wanted to work on was the copper house, as that seemed like the most natural progression from coal. So after gathering a little more materials, I took my handy crafting table and summoned an almighty copper tree, which, just like a reverse David Copperfield, appeared out of thin air. It looked gorgeous, but I was about to make it look much better. I was also curious to know two things. Will this copper tree contain a chest? And if so, what will be inside of it? I quickly made my way to the top, where I mined out a few copper blocks, revealing the now not so hidden chest. And when I opened it, yes! I always wanted to have OP spy glasses, thank you so much! I'm definitely not going to use this a tiny bit and then realize that I don't really need it and put it in a chest and completely forget about it for the whole playthrough. No. I decided to leave the chest inside of the tree, so its false hopes of being freed would match the false hopes it had given me of the items it contained inside, and I got to work making the tree look much better. I also broke the outside chests and the two signs, because, as I keep telling my girlfriend, I don't do signs. And I decided that before working on the copper build, I needed better tools. You know, like 6 quintillion enchantment levels, kind of better. So I tried my luck with the iron tree. I knew that the iron I smelted earlier would come in handy. Okay. After finding a nice location for my iron tree, I spawned it in, and unironically, the tree was entirely made of iron. If you don't believe me, here's iron solid evidence. And if you don't like my jokes, well, don't even try to catch me, cause, well, I run very fast. Why are you running? With the iron tree came the typical chest. A couple of extremely necessary signs, you know, just in case you forget what tree you're looking at, and a command block with an iron pressure plate to spawn in iron golems. I was very afraid that the iron golems would spawn in more iron golems, so I broke the pressure plate and I tried breaking the command block, but, well, you can't do that in survival. Thanks mod, I'll find another way to cover it up later. The iron golems were already lagging up my ward, so I decided to test my looting 6 quintillion netherite sword on them and see how it went. Yep, 13 iron. Great. It was time to open the iron chest, and lo and behold, the rest of the overpowered items. I got all I needed and made my way to bed, as it was time to sleep. I passed in front of the copper tree with my newly acquired items just to make it jealous. I covered up the chest and I made the tree look a little better just to go back to the coal house and mess around with the spyglass a little bit. It was actually fun. For the next few days I traveled with my elytra to see if I could find a dark oak forest and some more oak for the build that I had in mind. And I stumbled across a few villagers and some new biomes, but unfortunately no dark oak. Unsatisfied with my trip, I came back home and started on a little temporary tree farm that would allow me to build the next 2 houses. Talking about gathering resources, I had to get a little bit of diorite, granite, and a lot of copper for the copper house. So I went all the way down below Y30 and started putting my OP tools to good use. I also realized a while later that I needed the new amethyst shard to craft another OP tree. So I went out looking for a geode, and trust me, when you want to find one, these things are impossible to find. But once I found the outer layer of smooth basalt, I made a small staircase to the top just to make it easier to locate, and then I went to sleep. The next day I put all of the items I had mined neatly in the chest, neatly, and I made my way to the geode to get some sweet purple crystal. Now, is it me, or is this geode looking kind of... No, I will not do this kind of jokes, no. After collecting all the calcite and amethyst blocks I could get my shiny pickaxe on, I found a story excuse for a dripstone cave and gathered a new dripstone block. Spoiler, I did not use it at all. It was completely pointless, but I did it, so I want to share with you. Because my friends, if there's 2 things that you need to know about me, is that I never lie and I never cheat. Okay, back to what matters. After what seemed like 2 eternities chopping down trees and gathering materials, I was finally ready to start the copper house. Just kidding, I still had no dark oak, so off I went to find some. I found a shipwreck, a lava pool, many mountains, and a huge ocean. And next to the ocean, to my utmost surprise, a dark oak forest biome, or like some people call it, the enchanted forest biome, or like I like to call it, a dark oak forest biome. I gathered as much dark oak as I could carry in my little pockets along with a few saplings to bring home for good luck. And now you can watch me try to find my way home, because my sense of direction in real life and in Minecraft is as good as a compassless compass. You know, cause like, it's non-existent. After flying over more blocks than I can count, I finally found a home base, and with the dark oak in hand, I decided it was time to start building. I laid out the foundation of the house, trying to give it an interesting shape, and when I was satisfied with the way that it looked, I worked on everything else. Cue the second montage. For this house there was so much terraforming to be done because of the place I spawned the tree in. So I gathered a ton of dirt, grass and stone to make a giant cliff, which turned out pretty cool in the end. I also had no idea what I wanted to do for the floor, so I went with a design that, if you like building with glass, I'm sure you've done plenty of times. This house took probably the longest time to build, as I had plenty of resources to gather and I had to transform all of the land around it. But I'm very happy with the way that it looks once it's done. I'm honestly much better with exteriors than I am with interiors. I never really know what to put inside of my houses, so I left pretty much all of them empty. If you have ideas on how I can improve my interiors, let me know down in the comments. I realized I needed even more copper for the house that I wanted to build, so I thought it was a good idea to make some sort of super smelter to automatically smelt all of my copper, iron and gold very fast. Unfortunately, as I had not been in the Nether yet, I didn't have any quartz to make an automatic minecart unloader. And because I'm very lazy and I do not want to tell the minecarts how to do their job, I resorted to a simple hopper design which has the added benefit of being extremely inefficient and slow. But like Bill Gates once said, if it works, but it's inefficient and slow, it still works. I used it a ton though. So although I wish I would have made it faster, it turned out to be one of the most useful builds in this whole playthrough. As I was waiting for the items to smelt, I decided to go hunting for some mobs at night and truly see the power of my gear. For the ones who don't know, Thorns is an enchantment that you can put on your armor that basically hurts any mob that is trying to hurt you, redirecting some of their damage towards them. With my Thorns level being higher than the amount of particles in the known universe, mobs do not only take damage if they try to hit me, their code literally gets erased from the game. If any mob simply thinks about approaching me, the power of my Thorns makes sure to end its life subscription. This is great most of the times, but not that great when I want to take advantage of the OP looting effect on my sword. Because, as I'm terrible at fighting in Minecraft, I'm having trouble hitting the mobs before they hit me, so more often than not, they die even before I can use my sword on them. However, I just needed a couple sword swings to a couple mobs to get all of the gunpowder and all of the ender pearls that I would need to finish the game. Anyways, back to building. And it's finally done. I told you the quality would get better. Wow, this took me over 15 hours to build. I can't even believe that it's done, and I love the way that it looks. It's my first time building with orange blocks in the game, so I think I did a good job. And can we please get a like for this floor? It's looking kind of... Praise is over though. I had a lot of work still to be done, so I spam clicked my bed hoping that it would make night come quicker, and it did. So I slept, and the next day I began working on the third build of this OP challenge, the Iron House. I started by collecting the blocks I needed and cleared out an area to build the layout. Once I was satisfied with the way that the foundation looked, I worked on the rest. Let's cue our third montage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was also running low on food, so with my OP, looting and fire aspect sword, I threatened enough cows to have 10 stacks of cooked steak, which ended up lasting for the entire playthrough. For this house, I thought about all of the white blocks in the game, such as diorite, white concrete, birch and of course iron. I wish I also had quartz, but I still had to go to the nether, so I had to do without. I also thought that a more modern look would complement the house's color better, so I changed the design of the roof to something flatter, which is something I never do. So this build was also a first for me in terms of design, and I think that the end result actually turned out quite good. As always, the interior needs a lot more work, but there are so many things that I want to do in this video that ain't nobody got time for that. And just like that, the iron house was done. The next day, I had this burning question in my mind. What would happen if I disenchanted the OP items? Would my game crash? Would I gain a ton of levels? If so, how many? So that's exactly what I did. I crafted a grindstone, and before doing anything, I backed up my game to make sure I didn't lose all of my progress. No, okay, of course I didn't do that. This is not kindergarten. We live life on the edge. I went right away and disenchanted my first item, and I gotta tell you, I was so scared to click the item, but when those levels started rolling in, all of my fear turned into excitement, as I went from level 33, the hard-earned levels, to level 78 in a matter of seconds. I couldn't stop there, of course. I decided that a good level to stop at was 150, just for the flex, so I started grinding. My friends, I never grinded so hard for experience in my whole Minecraft life. What a grind. Alright. You know what they say, a good joke has short legs. The next build was going to be epic, and I wanted it to be very different from the houses that I had been building so far. So instead of building a house, I decided to stick with the theme of the video and build a massive tree. Thanks to that geode that I found a few days before, I could craft the amethyst tree by using 8 oak logs and an amethyst shard in the middle. This tree took quite some time and turned out to be a lot bigger than I was expecting, so I made quite a few trips to the geode to get all of the amethyst I needed to finish it. Let's cue yet another montage and see how this tree looks when it's done. As many of the other builds that I built in this video, I had never created a custom tree this big in Minecraft, so it was fun to try to make it look natural and interesting while keeping the overall aesthetics magical and mystical to fit with the amethyst vibe, which always reminds me of a wizard for some reason. I found that a great way to build the leaf clusters was to first outline its rough shape and then simply fill it layer by layer, being deliberate with the block placement to add to the randomness of the tree's nature. My friends, we finally had one beautiful, giant tree in our world. If I had more time, I would have loved to work on its surroundings as well, to make it fit more with the environment. But this project already took me over 40 hours, and I wasn't even halfway there. And if you've made it this far into the video, now is a good time to check if you're subscribed or not. YouTube tells me that 100% of my viewers are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, and I heard there's this weird bug that keeps unsubscribing people for no apparent reason. Well, hit that red button and see the magic happen. And just like that, the tree was done. I needed a couple of beds to add to each of my builds for convenience and aesthetics, so I went around to shear some sheep for their comfortable wool. My friends, I will admit it, I was very tired of building, and I knew I had a lot to get done still, so I decided it was time to look for some danger, just to spice things up a little bit, and have a crazy challenge to overcome. While flying around for some time, I spotted an ocean monument, so I thought it would be a great idea to raid it and really see what this OP gear is made of. After a lot of struggle getting inside the temple thanks to the mining fatigue, I finally found the Elder Guardian. The fight was epic, breathtaking, excruciatingly long. After nearly risking my life several times fighting a bunch of guardians and using my innate sense of direction to not find the exit for several minutes, I made it back to the surface, exhausted, out of breath, and adventured out. I flew to the nearest village, slept the night and tried to feed cooked cod to a cat who unsurprisingly refused and ran away indignated. Today, I was going to get started on my 5th build involving lapis lazuli and all of the other blue and close to blue blocks that I know, like blue concrete, blue glass, blue concrete powder. Yeah, I had an infinite amount of options. The first step was to get the tree in place and look inside for some goods. Looking inside this chest never gets old. I made the tree look better, terraformed around it, and I was ready to start building the house. As I already did for the other 4 builds, I cleared out an area, worked on a rough layout, and took it from there. Cue the 5th montage. Yeah, montage power, let's go! And there you have it, my friends, the beautiful, finished lapis lazuli house, which I tried to turn into an enchanting setup, but I had no paper, no bookshelves, and no villager trades, so I left a small enchanting table in the middle as a reminder for my future self. Let me know what you think about it. I would love to know your opinion on this, as blue and cyan are my favorite colors of all time. And you know what else is blue? That's right, redstone. The next house I was going to build was going to be an homage to the redstone lovers out there. Moving to the complete opposite spectrum and tricking my eyes into thinking they're colorblind, it was time to gather the resources to build the redstone house, next to the redstone tree. I didn't have any redstone unfortunately, so I went to collect what I needed. My OP pickaxe made it super easy, as just 2 redstone ores gave me over 5 stacks of redstone. I cleared out a little area and used the crafting recipe to spawn the redstone tree overlooking the valley. I thought it would be really cool to see this bright red structure on top of the mountain. I was already so OP that instead of taking items from the redstone chest, I gave it all of the items I didn't need and went straight to the goodies in the tree, just to see what crazy treasures I could find. My friends, from there, you know exactly what happened. So let's just cue the montage and let me show you this redstone build finished. And with some terraforming, landscaping, finding a rose for red dye because I had none, planning, layouting, that's not a word, building, interioring, that's also not a word. Oh, wait, no. Okay, it is a word, sorry. And detailing, the build was finally done. I went with an all-red color palette with this one, using redstone blocks, red cement and its powder. Some spruce planks with the flooring and brick slabs to top it all off. It's definitely not my best design, but it's something new, and although there are many things that I would have done different looking at it now, I'm quite happy with the way that it turned out. For the final building project of this self-imposed and self-revised challenge, I wanted to do justice to the remaining Minecraft ores: emeralds, gold and diamonds. The first thing I did was to finally collect the diamonds that I discovered at the very beginning of the episode. That thing has been bothering me ever since I found it. Then I took the gold I already had in one of my chests and then went trading with one of the villagers in a nearby village to collect the emeralds I needed to spawn the next 3 trees. I also gathered some obsidian for a little project I had in mind before the end of the challenge. Once I had what I needed, I headed off to the village next to my base and I looked for a nice place to spawn the trees. First, I spawned the gold tree. Look at that beauty. Then the emerald tree and finally the diamond tree. Like this, my friends, we were set for our next big project, upgrading this small village to the most expensive blocks in the game. I was kind of tired of coming up with new builds for each block and thought to change it up a little bit. And my friends, did that change it up indeed. Next to my base, I was about to have a shiny and colorful village, full of incredible villagers, but we're not there yet. After summoning all of the trees, it was time to check the goodies. The diamond tree had nothing new, so I just took a couple of enchanting bottles, which I never used, and all of the diamond blocks I found, which turned out not to be enough for the project. I also made the tree look nicer. Next was the emerald tree, which surprisingly offered 6 stacks of villager spawn eggs. I took all of them, of course. Then I got the emerald blocks for the build. I also made the tree look nicer. I've wanted to try this bow for some time now, so after identifying helpless victims, I shot them from afar, and I must say, this bow is powerful and all, but it's got something wrong with its aim. I don't know, maybe it's just me. No. Definitely not me, just the OP bow. Finally, in the gold trees chest, I got the gold blocks and the XP bottles, which once again I never used, and I made the gold tree look nicer as well. It was time to start turning this moody village into a shiny village. Let's roll the montage. Let's go. Looking expensive for sure. The village went from this to this in just a couple hours. Who would have thought? It was looking kinda empty though, so a stack of villagers should do. Hopefully they'll find a place to sleep. If I'd had more time, I would have loved to terraform the land around it and make it look a lot nicer by adding colorful blocks and all, but we still had a lot to do for this challenge, so I called it good and moved on to the next huge project. But wait, there is a little thing I have to do first. Another challenge to tick off this list, that's right, a village raid. I was so ready for a challenge. I wanted nothing more in this world than to test my strength and establish my rightful ownership into this Minecraft world by defeating worthy opponents. And I won. Honestly, the hardest part about this raid was finding the remaining pillagers, always hiding. As a true hero of the village, I gave all of my precious emeralds back to the town, and now I was ready for the next big project. My friends, it's time after so long, after so many days, to finally enter the Nether. But thanks to this mod, I will simply craft the Nether portal tree right next to my beautiful base. I checked the chest, but there was nothing that I needed, so I threw away useless items in my inventory and headed right inside the mighty portal. Ah, the Minecraft Nether. Nothing wants to make you scream more. I quickly wrote down the coordinates of my portal because I can't trust my innate sense of direction, or lack thereof, and I went scouring the depths of hell to find a Nether fortress. I was going to need quite a few wither skeleton skulls for this next big project. And here's where I learned a valuable lesson. Just because I had overpowered items, it did not mean that I was a Minecraft god. So after nearly dying 10 times, I finally had the 15 wither skeleton skulls for all of the 5 fully maxed out beacons that I wanted to craft at my base. Then it was just a matter of getting a few blaze rods and mining out some ancient debris to spawn the remaining trees. And I was good to go. I easily made it back to my overworld portal, but before starting with the beacons, I wanted to spawn in the last remaining trees. Starting with the ancient debris tree, containing far more ancient debris than anyone will ever need in a Minecraft playthrough, moving to the netherite ingot tree. Hey, finally, the first netherite ingot of the game. What a milestone to reach, I'm so proud. And finishing off the trees with the netherite block tree, which gave a ton of crazy enchanted blocks, which I didn't try it as a weapon, but now I really wish I had, because I never killed any mobs with a netherite block, and that sounds like a very expensive way to die. Now, I know there are only 5 possible beacons in Minecraft, but it did not seem right to only have 5, given that we used so many different blocks throughout this challenge. So I decided to build fake beacons for every single tree, and that's exactly what I did. I gathered the blocks and started building. And there you have it, my friends. All of the beacons set in place. Lapis, redstone, amethyst, iron, emerald, gold, diamond, coal, copper, and finally, netherite. Once the beacons were put into their place, I had a mega challenge to overcome. It was time to fight the Wither, and not just one. Not just 2, my friends, not even just 3. I had all of the resources needed to fight 5 huge, terrible, terrifying, blood-curdling, spine-chilling, life-taking, that's a lot of adjectives, Dark Lords of Hell. I knew the other fights had been anticlimactic, but this one was going to be it. Some people say that fighting the Wither is much worse than fighting the Ender Dragon, and my friends, I believe them. All I had to do was fly away from my base to preserve the beautiful builds I had made so far, and just take my Soul Sun. God damn it. Alright, now all I had to do was place down the Soul Sun into the infamous T-pose and add the 15 Wither skeleton skulls that took me several hours to acquire. To make it harder, I decided to spawn the Withers at night, and the battle had begun. But wait, one didn't work. Why didn't it work? There was no time to think. I had bigger problems at hand. I had to focus on not dying. I had never seen so many Withers in a survivor world, even less in a hardcore world. So I was sweating, my hands were shaking, I held my totem tighter than ever, and yep, this bow is stupidly OP, wow. I collected the nether stars to make the beacon, but to my not so surprising surprise, I only had 4. One of the Withers glitched out and decided not to join the party. But I already spent so long working and grinding for this challenge that there was no way that I was going back to the nether and getting another 3 skulls to complete the last beacon. I was going to call it good with just 4. Using my netherite ingots, I lit up my first beacon and gave it speed 2. I moved on to my iron beacon and gave it haste 2. Then it seemed just fitting to give my gold beacon resistance 2, and finally my diamond beacon jump boost 2. I don't need the last beacon. I don't even want all of the enchantments at once and all of the maxed out beacons possible in this challenge. I don't. Damn it, okay, I'll do it. I got the skulls, I tickled the Wither, and with strength 2 I finally had the 5 maxed out beacons in Minecraft Hardcore. My friends, it took so long. It was so hard. We saw days of light, days of dark, cheated death a couple times, brought the land to life, and worked on so many incredible builds in this crazy OP tree mod. I sometimes sit in front of my coal house and reminisce about the beautiful days when I was just a nomad, not even knowing where I was going with life, and I look around at all I had built and smile to myself. But I knew it wasn't over yet. It couldn't be. There was one thing that I still had to do. I gathered all of my final strength too, and without resistance too, I hastily too crafted blaze powder and made the mighty Eye of Ender. See what I did there? After finding a suitable spot for the final tree to be crafted, I took out the crafting table and placed all of the items inside. And just like that, we had the end portal tree. I was so excited to finally made it here. Days upon days of hard work, and the only thing that stood between me and the completion of this challenge was the mighty Ender Dragon. A vile, fire-breathing dragon, scared of no one and slave to none, but master of the whole end dimension. Was I ready to fight? Was my mind in the right place to withstand such a difficult challenge, or was I going to lose it all in the blink of an eye to this monstrous foe? I closed my eyes and jumped through the portal. At first, I felt like I was falling, but it was just a dream. And then I saw her. The sound of her wings flapping, her terrible roar, and the ominous sound of the end. And it was done. Alright. Thank you all so much for watching this video, my friends. Finally, this challenge is done. It took me so long to make it. From recording the videos, to writing the script, to editing, finally uploading it. I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel for many more videos to come. This mod was a lot of fun to mess around with, and I'm not dead yet, so if there's anything else you would like me to do with this world, let me know and I'll be more than happy to do it. Also, if this video reaches 1000 likes, I will raid a bastion and a few end cities, as that's like the only 2 things that I haven't done in this challenge. My name is Lonely, I really hope to see you in the next video, and I wish you, as always, an amazing rest of the day. Bye bye. Just going back to my base. No, I forgot to set my spawn. Where am I? Oh,